Hello, and welcome to the Witching Hour podcast, a Creepy Vault original. I'm just grateful for all my fans out there, subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to the Creepy Vault. I couldn't do it without you. I love making all the content on the Creepy Vault, and I'm hoping that this podcast will be entertaining and informative as well, full of creepy things. So this is a Creepy Vault original. I'm going to be talking about creepy topics of all sorts, ghosts, hauntings, stories, all kinds of creepy. So let's get into it. I've always wanted to talk about ghosts in depth and what are ghosts. And when we talk about ghosts, what are we talking about? Ghosts and spirits have been integral to human folklore and cultural narratives across the globe. They are generally perceived as the souls of essences of deceased individuals that continue to exist in some form beyond physical death. The belief is in such entities is rooted in the ancient notion that a human spirit is separable from the body and may maintain its existence after the body's death. Definitions and types of ghosts, there's all kinds. Ghosts, spirits, phantoms, entities, apparitions. Ghosts, when you're talking about ghosts, typically consider the souls of deceased individuals who have not moved on to the afterlife. They are often thought to inhabit netherworld and are capable of returning in some form to the world of the living. Spirits, a broader term that can refer to any supernatural entity, including ghosts. In some contexts, spirits are considered more benign and may include entities like angels or other supernatural beings. Apparitions, visual manifestations of a ghost or spirit. So it's the actual manifestation of the ghost. Apparition. These are often described as translucent or ethereal figures resembling the deceased. Ethereal. Phantoms. Similar to apparitions, phantoms are perceived manifestations of a person or thing that is not physically present. So it's more of a manifestation. Whereas apparitions, it's the actual materialization of a ghost. All I know is I've never actually seen a ghost, but if you go on my channel, The Creepy Vault, I have an EVP there where I actually heard some supernatural, paranormal voices and things. You can be your own judge, but all I know is I was there, I know what I experienced, and it was really creepy. So I hope you can enjoy that. Specters, another term for ghosts, often used to describe a visible, disembodied spirit. So there's another example, more like apparition, specter, ghost, very similar, interchangeable terms. I just love talking about the definitions of each and to give us a foundation of these supernatural terms and entities. Wraiths, typically associated with omens. A wraith is often seen as a ghostly apparition of a person, sometimes appearing shortly before or after their death. Common types of ghosts. Interactive personality, the most common type. These ghosts are believed to be the spirits of deceased individuals. They can become visible, make noises, touch individuals, or emit odors like perfume or cigar smoke to announce their presence. Experts suggest that the type of ghost retains its former personality from when they were alive and can feel emotions. Ectoplasm or ectomist, a mist or fog that appears several feet off the ground and can move swiftly or remain still. These mists are often documented in photographs and are believed to be a form taken by spirits. So kind of like their residue or physical substance, ectoplasm, like a slime or something. You can look it up more in detail. Very creepy and interesting. Poltergeist, derived from German meaning noisy ghost. Poltergeists are known for their ability to move or manipulate objects, create noises, and cause physical disturbances. They are often associated with a particular individual and can be responsible for physical disturbances such as loud noises and objects being moved or destroyed. Orbs, circular light abnormalities that appear in photographs or videos. Anomalies, sorry. I'm horrible at reading my own notes and information. You have to excuse me. Anomalies that appear in photographs or videos, often considered to be the soul of a human or animal traveling from one place to another. They are commonly seen in areas where tragic events have occurred. That's interesting. I actually didn't realize that. And I put this down, but I haven't looked over it for a little while. I've been collecting different notes and information about the supernatural, and so I'm diving into these notes about ghosts today. And I've forgotten about some of these, so this is very creepy and interesting. Funnel ghosts, often associated with a cold spot. These ghosts appear as a swirling funnel and are most often spotted in homes or old buildings. They are frequently associated with a loved one returning for a visit. We'll have to look that up. Funnel ghosts, that is interesting. Swirling funnel. That's creepy. Famous hauntings and sightings. So there's a lot of famous hauntings that you've heard about. And I know I have studied and watched documentaries either from ghost hunters or famous haunted hotspots around the world. You may be familiar with some of these. The Amityville Horror in 1974. I actually read that book. That was an interesting book. The accounts in there were pretty creepy. That house was filled with evil or something. I recommend you give it a go. I actually listened to it. I love audiobooks and things, so that was a fun one. So 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered 6 family members in their home in Amityville, Amityville. I always have a hard time with that. Amityville, New York. Amityville, New York. I'm struggling. Subsequent owners. The Lutz family reported intense paranormal activity, including strange odors, unexplained cold spots, and physical attacks. Their experiences inspired a book and several films. And oh boy, did they experience some physical attacks and odors, and it was a very interesting book to listen to. The Tower of London. One of the most haunted locations in England. It is reputedly home to numerous ghosts, including Anne Boleyn, the wife of King Henry VIII. King Henry VIII was a pretty bad dude. I need to read more about him, but from what I understand, he was not a good king and a good leader at all. He executed a lot of his family members. That's the little bit I know about him. That's what I know, that he was notorious for executing family members or people that were close to him that tried to get in his way of power and prestige or whatever he was looking for. So King Henry VIII, who was executed there in 1536. So sorry, Anne Boleyn was executed, who was the wife of King Henry VIII. In 1536, witnesses have reported seeing her headless apparition near the site of her execution. So I've heard stories about her walking around in the courtyard. So castles tend to have a big courtyard, like a big yard, enclosed in by castle walls, and people have reported seeing a headless apparition. So they believe that's her, the wife of King Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn. Pretty scary. And she was headless because in those days, in the early 16th, mid-16th centuries, and even further than that, England was notorious for beheadings with an axe. And an executioner is pretty brutal way to go. So that's why she was holding her head, because she was beheaded. And then the next one, this is one of my favorites. I did a song about this one. You'll see a lot of my songs are based on historic hauntings and accounts of ghosts and real hauntings. So those are what my stories are about, are famous evil people or people that were barbaric and monstrous throughout history, or events or haunted places. Those are what my songs are mostly about. So the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, perhaps one of the most famous ghost photographs ever taken. The Brown Lady is believed to haunt Raynham Hall in Norfolk, England. The specter, identified as Lady Dorothy Walpole, was reportedly seen descending the staircase, and her image was captured in a photograph in 1936. One of the most evil and creepy accounts is the Bell Witch. They call her the Bell Witch because of the Bell family. They experienced some evil supernatural occurrences. The story goes, a poltergeist haunting that occurred in the early 19th century in Tennessee. The Bell family reported being terrorized by an invisible entity that physically harmed them, spoke to them, and exhibited a particular hatred for family's patriarch John Bell. So yeah, I've got some of the events in a song that I created called the Bell Witch. Well, it's about the Bell Witch. I can't remember the exact title. I create a lot of things, so I'd have to go back and look, but I have a lot of the historic facts in that song. But if you go online and look up the Bell Witch, you can find podcasts and readings about the Bell Witch. It's really creepy and really disturbing, which I always enjoy, right? And hopefully you do too. The next one, the Flying Dutchman, a legendary ghost ship said to haunt the seas around the Cape of Good Hope. According to lore, the ship is doomed to sail the oceans forever, and sightings of it are considered an omen of doom. That's scary. I'll have to look more into that, but I do remember hearing about the Flying Dutchman, a ghost ship. So here are some scientific perspectives on the topic of ghosts and entities and phantoms and such. While ghost stories are prevalent, scientific investigations have not provided empirical evidence supporting the existence of ghosts. Many experiences attributed to ghosts can be explained by psychological factors, environmental influences, or misinterpretations of natural phenomena. For instance, infrasound, sound waves below the range of human hearing, can cause feelings of unease or anxiety, leading individuals to believe they are in the presence of a supernatural entity. Additionally, carbon monoxide poisoning has been linked to hallucinations and perceptions of ghostly encounters. So in conclusion, the concepts of ghosts and spirits encompasses a wide range of entities and phenomena. As we know, there's a lot of words for ghosts, spirits, ghosts, phantoms, entities, and deeply rooted in cultural beliefs and folklore. So all these things are deeply rooted in those types of beliefs. While numerous accounts and stories exist, scientific evidence supporting their existence remains elusive. Now, I grew up loving Halloween, loving creepy and scary things, and I love going out to cemeteries and haunted hotspots and hearing the stories about these historic places and learning about supernatural and paranormal events and entities. So for me, I definitely believe in ghosts. That's why I'm doing this whole channel, The Creepy Vault, on YouTube, and this podcast. And I have experienced some kind of paranormal, supernatural occurrences as far as my EVPs go, but I've never actually seen anything. I've had friends that have seen apparitions and have some stories. We'll have to get into that another time. But I do have one story that's really creepy. It's allegedly true, and I've changed the names to protect the innocent, as they say. So this happened in a forest in Oregon, and it was, I think, in the early or the mid 2000s, early 2000s. I'm not sure exactly, but I got this from a source, and that's allegedly true. It's a really creepy story. So around the summer of the early 2000s, mid 2000s, a young couple, Darren and Emily, we'll call them, set out for a weekend camping trip in the forest of Oregon, somewhere there in Oregon. I actually think it was near the Crater Lake, a few miles away or around that area, a remote wilderness area known for its dense woods and eerie folklore. This area wasn't a popular camping destination, but Darren, who was an avid outdoorsman, wanted to explore it. Emily was hesitant, but trusting him, she decided to go. The first day was peaceful. They pitched their tent near a small clearing by a creek. As the sun set, they sat around the fire, sharing stories and listening to the sounds of the forest. But as night fell, Emily began to feel uneasy. The woods, which had been alive with the chirping of crickets and rustling leaves, grew eerily quiet. This gets creepy. Around midnight, strange noises started. It began with faint whispers, barely audible but undeniably there. Emily thought she was imagining things until Darren asked, "Do you hear that?" They both sat frozen, straining to listen. The whispers grew louder, interspersed with strange clicking sounds. Darren brushed it off as animals or wind, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The next morning, they decided to explore a nearby trail. Darren led the way, but after a few hours, he said he wanted to venture off trail to explore a series of caves he'd read about online. Emily didn't want to go, but agreed to wait at the trailhead. Hours passed. Darren didn't return. Emily tried calling his phone, but there was no signal. As dusk approached, panic set in. She decided to follow the direction he'd gone, marking her path with pieces of cloth tied to branches. As she ventured deeper into the woods, the whispers returned. This time, they were louder, almost surrounding her. She heard her name being called, but it wasn't Darren's voice. It was distorted, echoing unnaturally through the trees. Terrified, she ran back to the campsite and called for help. A search party arrived within hours, and volunteers combed the forest, calling Darren's name. 3 days later, they found him. He was in a cave about 2 miles from their campsite, his body contorted in an unnatural position. His face was frozen in an expression of sheer terror, and deep scratches covered his arms and chest. The search team also found strange footprints around the cave, large, clawed, and unlike anything they'd ever seen. The official report stated that Darren likely died from an animal attack, but Emily couldn't accept it. The scratches didn't match any known predator in the area, and the footprints didn't resemble any animal. Locals whispered about the legend of a stalker in the Oregon forest. A creature said to roam the forest at night, luring people with its voice before attacking, but no one could prove its existence. To this day, Darren's death remains a mystery. Emily refuses to talk about what she experienced in those woods, but those who've ventured into the Black Hollow since have reported hearing whispers, seeing shadows, and finding clawed footprints in the dirt around the Oregon areas. So that's really creepy, to say the least. I know when I was camping a long time ago, I was in the Oregon forest, and the people I was with were complained about hearing something in the distance, like a cackling. And I actually recorded myself at night going out to kind of exploring the surrounding forest, because it was really kind of majestic and eerie, and the moon was out. So I got some footage, and I've tried to look at that footage, but I can't hear any cackling. But anyway, that was interesting. So that will be it for today. I appreciate you tuning in to the Witching Hour podcast. I will try to post this for now at least once or twice a week. And I appreciate the subscribers. Don't forget to like my content, my videos, and continue to subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next time, stay creeped out. Thank you, my friends.